The subtitle of the play is a comedy. It actually is part of the title, and but it's not a typical comedy in the sense of Noel Coward. It has this wonderful sort of, what makes it a comedy is the contrast between things. He makes comedy out of contrast rather than situation necessarily. And so we have these two characters at the center of the play, Mrs. Raffi and the Draper Hatch. And they have a long-standing relationship because they both live in this small seaside village. She's the wealthiest woman in town. He runs the draper's shop. And the history of their relationship is she comes into the shop, orders something very expensive. He brings it in, and then she doesn't want it, and he has to send it back, to the point where he's nearly bankrupted by her whims and whimsies. And so the play begins, actually, after the storm, which I'll talk about in a minute, in the shop with her ordering yet another very expensive item. In this case, it's 162 yards of blue velvet for curtains. And what you come to realize about both the comedy of the play and the tragedy of the play, it all comes down to these situations of pushing people to the brink. So this 162 yards of velvet pushes the draper to the brink because the manufacturers won't send it to him unless he sends money in advance. And of course, Mrs. Raffi doesn't pay in advance, so he has to use all his capital to order this fabric. And without wanting to give away the story, it doesn't go well for him. But the way he reacts to it is what makes the play unique and surprising. In addition to that, the other thing that Bond is playing with in the play is our innate fear of otherness, of people from away, of foreigners, of strangers. And so the other thing that's weighing on the Draper Hatch is the fact that he believes that the coast of England is imminently going to be attacked by aliens from outer space. And so the combination of the economic pressure he's under and his fear of aliens from another planet come together to create this wild and wonderful world where he's trying to warn everybody about the aliens, but in fact, he's crazy. Patrick Galligan plays the role of the Draper, and it's wonderful because it allows a character that would be normally a buttoned-up guy with a very kind of, obedient nature to become unraveled in a really exciting way. And I think that because Patrick is able to go at it so physically, I mean, he's very intelligent and all of that, but what he also has that's unique is this wonderful physical nature and this unbelievable courage to just go after things. Fiona is this kind of empress of comedy, I would say, and the way she approaches it is not to be funny but to be true, and that is actually the key to comedy. For me, anyhow, is what makes things really funny is when they're incredibly true, and that's what Fiona does with this part. She delves right into the heart of what makes Mrs. Raffi who she is.
And when I'm designing a play, I always look for other simultaneous narratives that are within the play that I can design to. So yes, there's the location and what actually happens in the play, but there's always other layers of narrative in the play, and I love searching those out and trying to design to those. And so for this one of them was the rhythm of it really jumped out at me. There's scenes where there's chaos and then there's stillness, and then there's chaos and then there's stillness, and there's indoor, outdoor, indoor, outdoor. So it had this natural rhythm, and I had this idea of, and also how to represent the sea. So I had this idea of this fabric that is painted, that represents our sea. So if you think about the sea on the coast, especially in England, they're massive tides, and you can't even be on the beach in a lot of these places. So what does it wash in and what does it wash away? And there was something interesting about that to in terms of an approach to our transitions and our scene changes, and to get from a flow from one scene to the next, to the next, to the next. Otherwise, it's literally just about, how do you go from a living room or a drawing room to a hut on the beach, and we needed to think of something more interesting. So that was sort of a nice, it all connected, it all sort of fell into place very easily, and it works so well in the courthouse.
So Cami has come up with this amazing device to help us go from place to place, and also it also what it does is it illuminates the metaphor at the center of the play that Bond has put there, which is the sea as this both destructive and creative force. And so because it's a draper shop as well, the presence of fabric in every scene is really important. That's how the set and the metaphor of the play come together, and I have to say it's so shockingly beautiful when it works. Like when we get it going, it really is so surprising, especially in the courthouse. Like you'll see images you've never seen in the courthouse with this production because of the way Cami has created this device of the sea.